Oh, actually, are we gonna do chief first?
Yeah.
Public, then
Well, I didn't know if you wanted to do like, cause we gotta,
do you wanna?
oh, John's not here.
Part of the mail.
So,
Oh, yeah, I guess
Get
we
your-
can start, have John come on.
I don't have a red
Then
check.
General public.
Yes, that.
So we'll turn this one on then.
Thank you.
Use that for records or anything like that, but this one in particular, I think probably would be good.
Okay. Thank you. Is Melissa? Is she?
I think she'll be here on time, yeah.
You just got really quiet when I just started screaming.
can you hear me, John?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I cannot.
Okay.
When you're in
All set? We're gonna get started. We'll start with the pledge. Oh, where's the flag? Oh, it moved. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. We're gonna start by convening and I'll take a motion for John to participate remotely.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so John will participate through Zoom.
On the big screen.
Oh, John, you're big. He doesn't even know. We're gradually moving forward with our technological advances here. I'm sorry because you all look comfortable, but we are going to do our accounts payable and get Joyce out of here, and then we're going to do a brief non-public with the chief for personnel, and then we will have everybody come back in to start our meeting.
Can I make a suggestion?
You can, sure.
Instead of stopping the feed, can we just move to Karen's office?
We could do that. Sure.
Oh, okay.
So you can stay comfortable then. That's a good idea. Then we don't have to close the feed. You have to take John. Perfect. Oh, we do have to take John with us.
That's fine.
Can we do that?
We can call him on the phone.
That's true. Okay. All right, we'll do that.
Yeah, mute this.
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah.
Make sure you mute.
Yeah.
How funny would that be?
All right, we'll figure that out. All right.
Something I would do wrong.
So for accounts payable and payroll for the period ending 3/2/24, we had payroll in the amount of $35,135.94. We had accounts payable in the amount of $29,598.98. We did have our regularly occurring ACH payments to both Swayze and the co-op. The Swayze payment was $232,200. The co-op payment was $648,932. All set? Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
All right, so we will take our group next door for a brief non-public with the chief, and we'll try to figure out how to take John with us.
I can just unplug and take one of those.
Okay.
Don't
Yes.
unplug them.
Could we have a motion to go into non-public for personnel, please?
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's do it.
Gotta do a roll call vote.
Oh, we do, because we have John. Andy?
Aye.
John? Russ?
Aye.
Paul? And I'm an aye, so we will go next door. We'll be right back, so you can stay comfortable.
Well, it's happening in the next couple of weeks, so she was at home, so her police starts on Thursday.
I have to take notes when
Yeah. My Rachel is a teacher out in Greenfield and lives in Toronto, she's 31, and it's 26, so this is. Oh, well, so, location to look at, Milford, you know, all stadium, yes.
So now, you know, commercial streets. That would be a reason.
It's more your closer to commercial street. That's so my great guys keeps telling me that, and they're moving also to Newsbury to, and we're gonna be on the Merrimack River and reach the city. And at the end of conservation, we're in a raft, you want to be dead or alive, floated down the river to your house.
I think that if they're even contemplating to be together, they probably.
Yeah, I mean,
Other than.
yeah.
Yeah, either we don't have to get
So
out of
anyways, fingers crossed that it's going to work out. Rachel is waiting on, she's been waiting around for a second year. And so she's waiting on just financial release, that kind of stuff. It's like, as my
Well,
mother would
I was
say.
gonna say, I think maybe at the end of that, if I remember telling you, like, I was gonna shoot, check out Billy's. I mean, yeah, Billy's like, yeah, because she's a rock Yeah, I used to work right at all.
So, you know, if my mother would say she's like a drunken sailor, she just gets money, she's like, hey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now the first bill, the tree department has like auto, they pull it out.
I know. And I
They
know
was,
that.
they was, whatever.
They will, they try hard to buy it.
I had it.
Well, in there, another frontier.
So I would never keep some of your trunks. But, I guess it was, it is becoming better, it's becoming an option in the future. So you don't want to watching it where they bought out, so it's not like interestingly on price, so they own the land and they own the because that's the problem. They're not with each other, because they're not using mobile home parks, they're nice. And you can get a nice, that's nice. And then it's a little charge, so you have to
Yeah, there's a,
So,
but you do, you have to find one that makes sense.
it's a,
This one is works with us, one day. I got it in the way if I have that one.
since we're
So
saying.
my friend is where I work, and it's like,
You know, I really would like to have this included.
I got that sense.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, how about you?
You know, if they say work high or not, maybe that means that they have. So, but, do you wanna start with?
I think I should say something about,
Yeah, that is.
number 13.
those houses.
Yeah, so you have to find the right situation. But
I'm still going back to
oh, no.
And she was halfway through it, she told me by email.
No, actually,
I don't know what I was expecting.
Something happened
But
last
she said,
Thursday.
oh, this
And
is
you went to the
a
hospital, I was there the whole week.
deals, nice.
big ass.
Everything else is still and then say,
Yeah, staff is so nice.
And as long as you're not.
I don't know if he's coming.
He's not walking
Give number 13 on.
Yeah. No, I understand.
A lot of the ones are 55, and the reason why they, like I walk So why don't I do the general ledger and see if there's any sensitivity, because those are probably the big ones.
Oh, right.
So, do you wanna go every other? So and that would give you 13 too. What do you the odds of these?
Last year, it's like sustainability office, setting up these so they
Was it that delayed?
Did you want to move like next? All right, so we're getting settled here. We getting, do we need to hook back up?
Yeah, you can keep going.
Okay. I will take a motion to seal the non-public minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so we'll seal the non-public minutes. We're gonna make a small change to our agenda because we have a special dedication to do for our friend and moderator Dick Chamberlain, and we are going to move that up to the beginning of the meeting. Yes, we are. Yes, indeed. So we're putting you first. All right, where did Karen go?
To grab Heather.
Oh, to grab Heather. We're all discombobulated tonight.
Heather's coming back, she's gonna need the dedication.
Perfect. All right. So we have our quite attractive annual reports that are now out, which I think you said Jillian did the front cover. It's really, some really nice pictures of Brentwood. And on the very first page, we have a lovely dedication to Dick Chamberlain that is going, yes? Oh, he's actually so surprised. With a very, very nice, handsome picture as well, I might add. So we're gonna have that read out for you, Dick.
Well, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. No one more deserving than you.
Thank you. My goodness.
All right, here she comes. Ah, you're on the spot now.
I guess so. But why do I have to be here?
Do you wanna be there?
Come
Well, no, just my back would be there.
You could come sit up here, right there if you want, and read out to the crowd. Yeah.
So for the 2023 town report, our dedication this year is to our own town moderator, Richard Dick K. Chamberlain. Richard Dick K. Chamberlain was born in Middleborough, Massachusetts on May 10, 1936. He was raised in a small family. He was a Boy Scout who graduated to Eagle Scout and eventually a member of the Order of the Arrow. Dick attended Boston University of Theology and clinical training at Mass Mental Health Center in Boston. While working at Fifth United Church of Christ, he met his wife Anne. Anne and Dick were married in 1960 and welcomed two sons, Ian and Brett. Dick was ordained into the United Church of Christ in 1962 and spent 20 years as a national consultant for outdoor ministries. The family moved to Brentwood, New Hampshire in 1971, and Dick was elected as town moderator in 1979. He is currently the moderator at Pilgrim Church and helps to run the fellowship monthly breakfasts. In his long career, he has been director of camps at Anderson and Waldron in Meredith, New Hampshire, director at Camp Maravista in Tuftonboro, New Hampshire, president of the New England section for the American Camping Association, and co-founder of the International Camping Fellowship. These are just a few examples of the important jobs that he has had. Dick and Ann traveled all over the world in their 51 years they were married. Dick also started the Richard K. Chamberlain and Associates camp consulting firm in 1996. He currently runs a monthly Alzheimer's support group and is available as a grief counselor. He is a member of the Brentwood Historical Society, enjoys fishing and sailing, and having dinner with friends in his spare time. Did you know that a building was once named after him? It is called the Richard K. Chamberlain Memorial Perch. You should ask him about it sometime. The town of Brentwood has been fortunate to have Dick as a town moderator for 45 years. He has always prided himself on the ability to remain neutral during town meetings and only approach the microphone to give an opinion twice as a resident. He moderates candidates' nights for our town school officials and maintains a calm and respectful atmosphere. He is a pillar of the community, and his ability to nurture, mentor, and listen truly connects him to people. The town of Brentwood is honored to dedicate the 2023 town report to Dick Chamberlain. We do have a couple of gifts of appreciation and gratitude. You are welcome to join them now, or you can open it later.
Is it something to eat? I haven't
No.
had
I don't
dinner
think
yet.
so, it's not included in the box.
I won't take up the time of it.
Okay, but also Janice would like to say a few words as well.
You guys are too much.
So I just want to say how thankful I am to have worked the last 6 years with Dick on doing the candidates' nights. And in addition to town moderator, you're also a great patron, and dare I also say a friend. There will always be a place in the library for you, including a nice new dedicated chair just for you.
Oh.
So you need to come to the library to see your chair. And I want to say that Daphne was the one that helped me with she came up with the idea, bought the plaque, and Joyce actually nailed it together. And so it was a group effort among all of the staff because, Dick, we just love you.
Well, thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And you've got your coffee, huh?
I got my
Okay.
coffee. I got two of them.
Good. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
everybody.
The thanks goes to you. All right. We will, now I'll take a motion to review and approve the consent agenda. We actually have two. We have the consent agenda from 2/27, which was fairly minimal as we did not meet that week, and the one from today, 3/5.
Motion for both? Second.
We'll go around roll call. Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Paul? And I'm an aye, so we'll pass those. Today's consent agenda includes public minutes from 2/20, the rec manifest, the treasurer's report, and the standard building permits. We now will open up public comment at 6:20. We have a little bit of a new setup here, so people who want to public comment can come up to the table in the middle there, and there is a microphone there. And please remember to give your name and your street address. Anyone interested in making a public comment tonight? All right, seeing none, we will close public comment at 6:21 and move on to our discussion action items. The first that we have is Andy Gray to talk with us about a MOA for town vehicles. Come on up.
Where am I welcome to sit?
You can come up to
Okay.
the real
I always
table.
like it up here. You know?
All right, what do you got for us?
All right, let me just grab this here. All right, so I don't know if everyone has it out in front of them, but
Yep.
I did have a very basic contract out with Kingston Parks and Rec. We've been meeting bi-monthly here. We've come to find out in the last couple of years here that we service a lot of the same residents of both towns, and that each community has its pros and cons of what we can do in offering certain services. So one of the things we had recently met about was allowing partial Brentwood Rec van usage for some of their senior trips and programs, in exchange for giving our summer camp kids 1 to 2 beach days each week over the course of summer camp. Within this contract, it basically states that the town of Brentwood and the rec department has final say over usage, when it's allowed, when it's not allowed. We can always rescind any usage if needed, that their rec director, once we get the results of his driving record, will be the only driver of that vehicle. And that while for his trips, while Kingston Rec residents will get priority, any fillers, Brentwood residents will get resident rates for their trips. And the same for us, when we schedule trips, Brentwood residents will get priority, but any open remaining seats, Kingston residents would then get resident rate for those trips. And unless I'm leaving anything off, I believe that's it, unless there was like questions or anything.
Are there any insurance or liability issues or anything with them using our town-owned vehicle?
No, the town of Kingston uses Primex as well, so
Okay.
on the next page is an MOA that Primex would recommend them signing. But subrogation or any of that is a non-issue because we have the same provider.
Okay, perfect. So no
I
concerns.
think I forgot to highlight as well is that they will pay a stipend percentage based off of the trip, distance, and all those things, and that stipend will go strictly towards van maintenance.
And are you gonna specify out the details of how those stipends work in the MOA that gets signed?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that would make sense, just to
Yep.
nail it down. Okay. So this is kind of a draft, and then this is, the second one is kind of a Primex draft here as
Yes.
well. Okay. So the final one will be sort of a merger of the two or both that will get signed?
Yeah, and
Yes.
one of the things I put on them as well is that this is revisited, the contract agreement portion on a year-to-year basis. So
Okay.
we can always make sure we're taking care of things appropriately.
Okay. Any board questions or concerns? Yeah?
A couple of questions. Have we run a motor vehicle and criminal check of the gentleman who's gonna
They're-
be driving?
The town's gonna be sending us his results. So we don't have him yet. No, there won't be any usage until that comes in.
Okay.
And, I mean, his record has to be clean, and, assuming that it is, when we get those results back, he will be the only driver, for those trips. We won't allow any other Kingston town volunteers or, rec position members drive the van. It's their rec director only.
And the only other thing I'd recommend on the memorandum of agreement is just some sort of indemnification provision. I mean, I saw there was a provision to make us the town an additional insured, but there probably should be some indemnification language in the agreement just to provide protection to the town. I can help draft that, or you can ask council, separate council, however you're comfortable. I'm happy to lend my experience with that.
Okay. Other thoughts or questions from the board?
My only thought was to add in about the summer camp, because when I initially read it with the packet, I thought the Brentwood residents were gonna be able to go to the beach.
So you want me to inquire about Brentwood residents?
Well, no, if that's the deal that was made, it should say summer
Oh,
camp can use
yeah.
Summer camp, gotcha.
the
Yeah, it just
beach
says
twice
partial
a
beach
week
use. You're right.
during camp season. And then I would just come up with a percentage of whatever, so something's in writing what the fee is, so
Yeah.
it's not
Okay.
arbitrarily set, so nobody can say, well, last time you charged us $10 and this time it's 50, why?
Right, there should be
Yeah.
a
If it's a
formula.
percentage of whatever their revenue is, then
Okay.
perfect.
I didn't mean to move this.
And then maybe if you combine the front, the 2 pages together into one document. It would make it cleaner.
Yeah. Do we need to vote to approve this? Or
Just
should
to
we
move
wait
forward,
until there's a
let's vote.
final document? Just vote to move forward? Okay. Take a motion to allow Andy to move forward with formulating a final MOA.
Move.
Roll call, Andy?
Aye.
John?
Do,
Oh, go ahead.
do we wanna say this is contingent on anything, or are we good with just going with it as?
I'm assuming we're probably gonna have to see the finalized one come back in front of us. Would you,
I can
would
do
you
that.
think that, Karen?
That would be the
Yeah.
contingency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just moving forward, not authorizing a contract or MOA.
Okay, aye.
Okay. Russ?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so we'll move forward and look forward to having you come back with a finalized version.
Perfect.
And the summer camp kids are gonna be psyched. That sounds.
I'm psyched.
That sounds
Yes.
great. Yeah, that's really, really nice.
We'll still do the slip and slide down the little hill there, but we can do a little bit more
Yeah,
now.
beef that up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Great. And then we have in our packet, a couple of applications for the open position on the rec board. Given how we've done this before, I think our board should discuss whether we want to potentially do any interviews with these folks or the timing of when we want to make these appointments, given that there's an election next week. I don't know if people want to take any action tonight. I know we just received these today in our packet, so I'd like to hear from the board how people would like to proceed with filling that position.
Before we do that, is Melissa here? That way, Melissa and Dick can come up and Dick can go home if he wants.
Yeah.
Before it gets too late.
We can do that, or if, if people don't want to vote on this tonight, we can just decide that right now and turf it. Does anybody feel strongly one way or another?
Yeah, it should probably be held over one, to the next board,
Sure.
makes sense.
Okay. Is anybody opposed to holding the rec appointment over to the new board sits?
No, and the people should be present.
Yeah.
Or invited.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. So that was easy. So we'll stick a pin in that. We have 3 applicants, so take your time reviewing those. And then we will see maybe if those 3 applicants can be present for the meeting after the election.
Do you wanna do them on the 26th, because I have Andy already on the agenda for the 26th,
Sure.
and then that way it's not the first
Perfect.
meeting with the new board?
Perfect. Let's see if they're available. Great.
Does that work for you?
And
Yeah.
now, is that okay?
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll have Melissa and Dick come up next for going over the town meeting warrant. Welcome.
I'm just gonna make copies of these for Mr. Chamberlain.
I'm gonna read a little bit and then stop reading and ask some questions.
Okay.
Melissa and I are here meeting with all of you, as I have done each year, to get a better understanding of a few upcoming warrant articles of the 14 that will be coming, plus to share our sense of the hoped-for tone of next March's town meeting. But first, I want to share a timeline of Melissa's and my leadership roles. And Melissa has looked at this and said, yeah, she's in agreement with it.
I have to tweak it a little, but
Yes. Oh,
it's because I think even if I'm sworn in at the beginning of town meeting, I don't become moderator until the conclusion of town meeting. So I would
Say
still,
that again?
even if I win,
Yes.
If,
Yes.
and I'm sworn in at the beginning of town meeting,
Yes.
your term doesn't end until the conclusion of
Right.
the town meeting. So to the extent that I'm helping you with town meeting, it's still as your assistant.
Okay.
moderator.
until the
Okay,
end.
I'll buy that. Melissa continues as assistant moderator, as she has been for the past year, until I swear her in as town moderator prior to our March 16th town meeting. That means that I'm moderator and Melissa is assistant moderator for the upcoming March 12th election, okay? Then at the beginning, this is what we were just talking about, then at the beginning of the town meeting, when I swear in all who won the election, I'll also be swearing in Melissa as town moderator, but
But I'll still be in the role of
but
assistant moderator.
she'll
till
still
the
be in the role of
conclusion.
assistant moderator. And that means, so that doesn't, I was gonna say that means for the duration of the town meeting, we'd have a surplus of 2 town moderators. But apparently not, and I think we can get through it okay. Melissa and I will take turns. We're actually gonna alternate the 14 warrant articles. And there are some that each of us would like to particularly lead, but we'll do that together, as happened in a sense last year to some degree. Now, my 45-year term will conclude at the end of our town meeting, and Melissa will be the one town moderator, and Melissa will be moderator in charge of the September primary and the November presidential. Any questions about that one? Okay. Now, the town meeting. I do not want our town meeting, our upcoming town meeting, to ever go through what we all went through last year. It was a near 7-hour meeting, partly because of multiple secret ballots, and partly because I was unknowingly dehydrated from the beginning, obviously did not have full cognition and clear awareness, and was carried out on a stretcher around warrant article 14 of the 21. Fortunately, Melissa picked up wonderfully with the balance of the 7 final warrant articles. But I don't think any of us want to go through what we did a year ago, and both of us will do our damnedest not to do that. Also, there is no way around having to vote by secret ballot if 5 people stand, identify themselves, have it ahead of time in writing. We just have to do it. I have checked that one out with the Secretary of State's office. I've read the manuals. That's the way it is. When somebody stands up and there's 5 people standing there and they've identified themselves and they put it in writing, we have to go ahead with the secret ballot. Now, a vote on SB 2, Senate Bill number 2. Senate Bill number 2 legally requires a secret ballot. There's no question about that. But often the motivation for a secret ballot is the fear of what a relative or neighbor might say when they learn how somebody else voted. And that's a shame. And that's a shame. But I think that has been going on to some degree in town and probably will continue to. I would love it if townspeople were comfortable enough to openly share their convictions with each other. But to some degree, that's human nature. That's kind of the way it is. A current wonderful model that we have in town is the exceptional relationship among department heads and associates with each other right here in our town office. And I would include our police department in their relationships with the town office staff. We have seen times when there have been battles back and forth between either end of this building, and where people were not pleasant with each other. Folks, we don't have that now. We've got something really good that's going on, and I so wish at times that could spread throughout the community of Brentwood. And I do think that we are, at least publicly, we are not as polarized as we were a few years ago. We talked about that a little bit at Candidates Night. There are numerous times when I would like to publicly question the reason for a secret ballot, but in my legal role as moderator, I don't believe I can do that. I would really like to push people to give me some specifics, but I don't think so. Okay, some comments about specific warrant articles. Number one, warrant article number one, which is required by the state, SB 2. We have had enormous discussions in the past about SB 2. I doubt that anything that is said will change anybody's mind. I think people have arrived at where they are, and people have got really excellent reasons for both sides of the fence. There's no question about that. I see that. So what we'll do is that we'll have discussion, and there's no way that we will not have discussion. And I will ask people to speak not more than 3 minutes. I will ask people not to repeat themselves. I will do the best I can to keep from a few people hogging the mic. Now, if there is a motion to postpone, as happened last year, and there was a good reason for it last year. There were some screw-ups in the beginning of getting the thing established, and the lawyer that was present told us that if we went ahead and acted on the motion, that we'd probably have to redo it later on. So if there is a motion to postpone, I will not accept it. And as you know, the town people have the right to defy the moderator because they've got the final say. And if that's the case, then I will ask for a vote related to whether or not we should postpone. And that'll be up to the people. We've had at least 3 times in the past where we dealt with SB 2. It requires a 60%, a 3/5 vote in favor of it. It lost out each time. Anyway, that's as much as. Do any of you have anything to say about SB 2 at this particular point?
Question.
Yeah.
So, what would be the basis, you would say you're not going to accept a motion?
Well, if
what would even be the basis of such?
If somebody offered a motion to postpone it,
Right.
under the moderator's rules, because moderators have extensive rules, we're not bound by Robert's Rules of Order or anything like. We are to a large degree bound by what we've already printed that's in the book. But I would just say I will not accept that. And then if nobody raises a concern about it, okay. If they do raise a concern, then I would ask for a vote of the entire assemblage whether or not we're going to postpone.
I guess you'd have to hear the basis. I'm
I'd
assuming.
have to what?
You would have to hear the basis of what the motion was, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right.
Yeah, no, I certainly would.
Yeah.
I think there's a need for a little toughness at this particular point, and not a repeat of what happened last year. Article 2, a possible motion to decrease the general municipal budget, which we had last year, and it passed, and it was decreased. At the very least, I think we ought to know what the person making the motion would like to have decreased. Now, there's no doubt about it. The Selectboard have got the final word on where the money is taken from. But Jack Mitchell, as budget chair, and I have, Jack's particularly concerned about this one. And either he or I or both of us would like to at least press the person asking the question, offering the motion. we'd like to press them as to exactly where they'd like to have the money decreased from. Any thoughts about that? Okay.
I'll share a thought.
Yes, yes.
I think it behooves someone who comes up and seeks a cut to provide an explanation as opposed to just having that done arbitrarily. So I think, you know, now you could ask, and I suppose they could say no, but I think, you know, asking someone and having them at least, you know, have the opportunity to explain, I think it behooves someone who's doing that.
I can understand one reason why I think the property taxes increase year by year by year by year. Some people are desperate about that, and they want to do everything they can to cut down the amount of money. And of course, it happened to a certain extent last year when that was voted in. I hear the financial pain, and I think that's at the root of desperately trying to find some way to cut down the amount of money that we're paying. Warrant article number 3, I'm just interested in the rationale. Warrant article number 3 is the one that deals with multiple reserve spending items that are all grouped together. And I see a real value in not doing it one by one by one by one and putting them all together. But I wonder what the rationale is for doing certain ones that way and not others that are separate.
We can answer that. So we picked the ones that are the most standard, that have been the same over the past 5 years or so and have passed without significant amendment, because we thought that those were the ones that were the most straightforward and the most likely to get approved without significant amendments, and we put those together. We took ones out that either were a larger dollar value, a change, or something that might cause a little bit of disagreement or more discussion. So we were trying to shorten the warrant as much as possible, and so decided to put those, 5 together that have generally passed without incident in the past. So the ones we left out, for example, like the police facility, the municipal building, the highway vehicles, because it's a larger dollar value than usual, we separated those out for discussion. Now, of course, these 5 that are in here are still up for discussion and debate, but they're just put together in a single warrant.
Okay,
Hopefully to speed us up a little bit.
that's kind of what I thought. I've always found it helpful when each select person speaks in a little bit more detail about the rationale behind a warrant article, and that's a good rationale to share with people. Warrant article number 9, revolving emergency management. I got tongue-tied trying to understand that one. Are there any examples that could be given as to what emergency items might be included in that down the road?
Karen, I don't know if you want to speak to that. I think it is essentially any equipment that we could use for emergency management, including trucks, signs.
Mobile signs, laptops, generators.
Okay, this has got nothing to do with police cars or dump trucks?
No, correct.
Or things like that?
Correct. So so the income that the town receives from the state of New Hampshire for the Seabrook Station drills is $8,500 a year.
Okay.
And the intent is to deposit that into this fund and then to be able to carry it year over year so that we can use those funds to purchase bigger ticket items.
Okay. Does it have anything to do with the warrant article that the school has each year that is the secret one?
No.
No, it's not that one.
No.
About safety and so forth.
Yeah, that's their capital reserve fund.
Yeah, okay.
No, this is just relates to our emergency management services, like when we have an ice storm, if there was a
Okay.
Seabrook event, if there was a major safety issue in Brentwood.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And my last one has to do with warrant article 13, which is hand counting ballots. Daphne's unable to be here tonight, as you can see. And she really wanted to speak to this one, and I will too. There are at least 14 towns throughout New Hampshire right at the moment that will be voting on this. Our personal experience was back 3 or 4 years ago when our voting machine jammed and everything had to be done by hand count. And we were there until almost midnight. The later it got, the more there was the possibility of mistakes by people, just being human. But on the other side, we have been enormously pleased with our voting machine. First of all, before each election, and it's this coming Thursday, if I remember correctly, the state requires us to go through a testing of the machine. And Daphne and myself and 2 or 3 other people come here, some of you right out there, and we go through a hours-long testing of the machine with specialized ballots to make sure, and they always work. And then we have somebody that comes in professionally to test the machine. But the best thing is that the numbers come out okay every time. They come out perfectly every time. And so we're voting against this sucker right away, I'll tell you that. Melissa, do you?
Now that he's stepping down, he's letting loose.
I left my neutrality on that one.
You're gonna say all this at town meeting?
Excuse me?
You're gonna say all
I
this
don't
at
know,
town
is it
meeting?
even or odd? I think he's handling it.
No, there's stuff I can't say at town meeting, and I probably shouldn't be saying it here.
Well, Dick, that's a citizen's petition, so the citizen will speak to why they want that on there, and then we'll take a vote as a town.
Yes, they will.
I wonder what was
Melissa,
in the
did you
Amazon box.
have anything?
Not about that, so the couple of things that I wanted to say, is there any warrant articles that town council has said are like not enforceable or illegal?
Number 14 is the yes means yes. We had a discussion at this board that does not appear to be enforceable in any way, so would be a purely advisory.
No money with 11.
And 11 is a purely advisory, as there's no money associated, no appropriations associated for speed tables. So that would be purely advisory for the community to move forward with that.
And will someone from the select board speak to that, when
I think
those come up?
I think 11 is pretty clear because there's no raise and appropriate. I think when it comes to 14, I don't know, I mean, legal counsel is going to be there. I don't know if as moderator, if you guys would feel more comfortable having the town council speak to that or just let it stand as it is. I think we could do that either way.
What do you think?
I'm happy to speak to it, but you might not do what I want to say.
I mean, let's say 14 were to pass, it's unenforceable. So if it passes, it passes, it is what it is. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So I think we could either just let it play out or we could have town council sort of preface to the crowd that it is not enforceable.
I feel like from a transparency interest, it's important that people know that it's not enforceable. However that gets communicated, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But
Do we know yet if Walter or one of his associates will be the legal counsel present?
Laura Spector Morgan
Laura
will be there. Same as last year.
Okay.
And then, I think Daphne could have answered this question definitively, but I think we're gonna have more ballot boxes, so the secret
Yes.
ballot votes will go.
They are being made in
more
my garage
quickly.
at this moment.
Wonderful.
Oh, nice,
They are.
nice.
So that should help with time.
Yes, I think the plan is to have 4, so 2 in the middle aisle and 2 in the outer aisle. So if we do have secret ballots and when we have SB2, we can have people line up in 4 lines and hopefully get the lines to progress much quicker.
I also want to either have a timer or have a person who is a timekeeper so that we're on top of the 3 minutes. I feel like sometimes that gets away from people.
It's a good idea.
And we won't be draconian about it, but if everyone talks 5 minutes instead of 3, then we're gonna be there until 4:30 again.
Yeah.
Sounds like an Amazon clock for the top of the podium.
Is that my job?
We also will need a timer because the SB2 vote has to stay open for 60 minutes, so we'll need to make sure that gets timed.
And then my other question is really procedural, just because I've only done this on the fly and I didn't have time to think about procedure when I was doing it on the fly. The budget obviously goes to budget committee to speak on, everything else is you folks, right?
Each, speak on each, so
Okay, and which is the order, budget committee, then select person, or,
usually the select board will move
okay,
the article to the floor.
Yep.
And then, because we're already on that side, we talked about it, and then
And then BudCom will.
Jack will talk about it.
okay. I just wanted to make sure I had the procedure correct.
And there's some of them that they don't have a stance on.
Right, because there's no tax implication.
Right, like 5 and 8 and things like that.
And all amendments or proposed amendments have to be submitted in writing.
Correct.
Okay, those are all my questions and comments.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll come up with more between now and then, but.
We look forward to having the double moderator team.
Do you wanna go through?
And I don't have anything else
see
either.
which
So
one
thank
was
you.
gonna put it
Thank you.
forward?
Yeah, we can do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
I agree with him.
So what we've done in years past is have gone through and decided who on the select board is going to introduce and speak to each warrant. And so if we can do that now quickly, that will get us set up for Saturday.
John went dark, so whatever nobody wants, we
Oh.
can assign to him right now.
No. Oh,
He just comes
Wow, he came back fast.
nice try, nice try. All right, I'm assuming SB2, do we bring that to the floor or does the petitioner bring that to the floor?
Generally, the petitioner brings that to
Right.
the floor.
Okay. So we don't need to call that or move or second that, right? The petitioner will bring that forward, okay? For the general operating budget, I would be happy to introduce that as chair unless anyone else feels strongly that they want to do so. Okay. Anyone interested in doing our multiple CRF Article 3?
You gave me those crib notes that you,
Gonna have the crib.
They're in your packet.
Yeah.
oh,
This, you'll notice that this warrant copy you have in front of you is the annotated version. This is the select board version. So the explanatory paragraphs that are on here are for your eyes to help you explain to the public. So some of your crib notes are here already, if you wanted to take that one or if someone else
Sure.
does. Yeah? Okay, Paul's gonna take the CRF multiple. Next, we have the police facility.
John's on the committee, right?
John, do you wanna take the police facility?
I'm actually technically not on the committee, but I would be happy to take that, sure.
Okay. And so the first one is to appropriate to that fund, and the second one is to rename it?
Yep.
Right, okay. Should we just have those both be the same person, or does somebody else wanna do the second one?
I'm good with both. John.
John, do you wanna
John's
do-
good with both.
Do you wanna do both? The first is to appropriate the 25K, the second is to rename it for the wider utilization.
It's fine.
Okay. Number 6, highway vehicles. Russ? 7, public safety radios.
Take that.
Andy. 8, the revolving fund for solar. Russ, you wanna do that one? 9 is the revolving fund for emergency management.
Like that.
Andy? 10 is community power, I think probably,
I think that
Chris.
there's a note that says Chris Magnuson will speak to it. Is that?
okay, one of us will probably need to introduce it and bring it to the floor.
Sure.
Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. 11 is a citizen's petition, so that will come forward by the petitioner. 12 is a citizen's petition. 13, 14 are all citizens petitions. So we are all set. Yeah.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. And then I'll clean this up and email this out for you guys, so you
Perfect.
have it for town meeting.
Perfect. Okay. Next, we have Kip to talk about the fee schedule for the coming year. Come on up. We've got that in here in our packet.
Good evening,
All
all.
right, welcome.
So, pretty much, I don't believe we've changed the fees. I forgot the date last time. It's been roughly 3 years, I think. I went through, looked at some other towns, saw where they were. Kind of looked and saw where we are for what budget is. And I come up with these fees. Many of them stayed the same, really went up $10 or $20. I've added in some different permit titles. I used to group things under electrical, like solar and heat pumps, generators. So now they all have their own category.
Are any of these significantly changed, or they're all just minor tweaks?
They're all pretty much minor. Like I say, we didn't even have a fee structure for mini splits or heat pumps. So they kept getting downgraded to like a $50 minimum,
Oh, okay,
you know. So now they're going to be more in line with other towns
okay.
and what we're paying inspectors and so on. Any other questions?
New construction, how much on an average build, say,
So
2,400 square foot house or something like that, how much did that change?
stayed the same. I
Okay.
kept the cost for a new house and or a renovation or even building a deck. They've all stayed the same. Because they're reasonably in line with other towns. Some are higher, but it covers it.
I'll move the proposed fee schedule for 2024 as presented.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I mean, my only comment is, it looks fine. It would be helpful to have like what it was, just so we can, see the comparison, just for future reference.
Sure.
What do you mean, what it was?
What it was versus what's being proposed.
Okay,
Yeah,
right, sure.
So like maybe next
You
year
wanna
we can
leave
have
that?
the comparison.
yeah.
I'll just, yeah, we
It's
can
on the
just print it
website.
off the website. It's where it's
Okay.
sitting right now.
Okay.
So.
Sounds good. So I have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so we will approve the proposed fee schedule, and this will take place, like tomorrow, does it go live, or what date will this go?
30 days.
in?
There's a little bit of.
30 days? What
Yes,
date
no?
do we usually put it?
Four.
I think that, yeah, we probably do it for the beginning of March.
March?
I mean, we're already there.
April.
What day is
April.
it?
April 1?
4-1.
Okay, so 4/1.
Oh, this was confusing me.
Okay. Anything else you have for us?
Well, plenty, but not tonight.
Uh-oh.
I will remind you that we still don't have a business registration in town, which becomes a multiple times a day issue for everyone from the town clerk to myself, fire, police. We don't know who's here and what they're doing. So we can't help them. glad to bring that to you
Yeah.
next time.
Yep, sounds like a good thing. Thank you. All right, next up, we have Chris Magnuson for County Solar Project.
Good night, Kip.
Come on up. Hi, good evening.
So I just wanted to, as a representative of the Energy and Efficiency Committee, we had a recommendation for you tonight, but I wanted to just give a quick background. And so this is all information that came from the Seacoast News Online. It was an article written on June 2nd, 2022. So as you may be aware, there's a $68 million Rockingham County complex that's going in on North Road. It broke ground in October. And it's going to be the new home to the Sheriff's Office, Registry of Deeds, County Attorney's Office, Community Correction, and Commissioner's Office. And there is going to be some type of an outpatient residential substance abuse facility as well. And the rent that is being saved currently, because that courthouse complex, the complex that they're using, is $300,000 a year. So some of you may not be aware, but the county received an American Rescue Plan Act, or called ARPA, for $25 million. $6 million of that ARPA grant money was for New Hampshire's largest solar grid in the state, using 13 acres in Brentwood. And the solar grid will offset $700,000 in annual county electrical costs, but it will generate $100,000 in revenue per year. So it's an excess amount that they will have. And they, in 25 years, if you take 700,000 times 25, it's 17.5 million in savings. So I just wanted to quote that Commissioner Brian Chiricciello said that receiving the federal money was a blessing, and he didn't think that anybody had the stomach to issue a bond. And then all of a sudden COVID comes around and we get this ARPA money from the federal government. It was a perfect opportunity to use those funds to help pay for half of the building. So the reason why we came forward with this is, as you know, we're going to be on the warrant. We're bringing forward community power, and there have been a lot of folks who want to have access to this type of energy. And as you may be very well aware of, if you don't have local energy sources for solar, you have to buy credits. And sometimes to feel like you're buying green energy, you're actually buying a credit that could come from a distance away. Now, luckily, under our warrant article, we're going to be having all at least New England-based credits if people want green energy, so that's a real positive. But imagine if we could have something it's literally in our backyard. It's in our yard, not our backyard, it's in our yard. And we have talked about the fact that, the ask that we have is, this is a great opportunity for, we would love to sit down and maybe have a select board or select board members sit down and have a conversation with the county on how our town can benefit. And it's a perfect opportunity because we would like to use some of these kilowatt hours. And we now have our own consultant that works with us specifically in the town of Brentwood on our power, and that's Standard Power. And so they have expertise in this area, and so they could assist as well. So the ask is, could we approach the county commissioners, and if we were to approach them, would any of you like to participate?
Can you explain specifically what we would be asking for? I think I understand the basic concept, but like when you get down to the nuts and bolts, what would we be?
Basically would like to use some or all of that $100,000 excess revenue for our benefit, for the town of Brentwood, to either offset, our electrical costs or somehow as a benefit to the town of Brentwood. I think we all know that, Brentwood has been a host to the county for a long time. There are expenses that we incur. We have to be available with capital costs sometimes, capital equipment, to be able to respond to the county. So this is a perfect opportunity where they now have something that can actually benefit us. So the timing of this is really incredible. So we just think that it would make a lot of sense. Let's just have a conversation. So
Can't hurt to ask.
it can't hurt to ask. So I think we as a committee, I definitely feel, you know, especially with the chair and, you know, our standard power consultant, you know, we have the technical expertise to have this conversation and to basically figure out the schematics of how this could actually go about. But, you know, if they are making additional revenue, it's kind of like, we should be considered. And so I mean, because this solar array was actually from federal money. So it's kind of like, you know, give Brentwood a break.
Karen, is there, I know you work with the county folks some, is there a particular like person that we would engage with for sort of, if we wanted to do a first reach out?
I would suggest starting with Jude Gates. She's the facilities manager for the county. And so she would be the one, I think she's the one that's project managing all of the expansion projects, so I would start
Did you say
there.
June or
Jude.
Jude.
Okay. And I'm happy to make that contact, but if it's more official to come from the select board, then, you know, I can be the tag along or ask Rick LeBrecq if he wants to.
What do you think, Karen? What would be the best avenue to just start a conversation?
I can do that and then copy you and Rick on the email
Perfect.
and go from there.
So,
Comments?
I think we're putting the cart in front of the horse. I think we need to approve community power before we start. Because the county's not just gonna give us $100,000 a year. They may let us buy that power from them, but
Sure.
the county's not gonna, because they wanna use that money to pay the bond
Right.
for the building. So I think we need to approve community power and then
Well-
go have a conversation with
Well-
the county about.
Well, I mean, we can wait to see if that passes and then we can, you know, but it's good to just get the ball rolling now because, you know, they are putting up the solar array and, I understand that the county probably doesn't wanna give up what they're expecting, but the point of the matter is, you know, we're not receiving any property tax from them, right? That facility is gonna put more, requirements on North Road and that area. And there are gonna be a lot of people in the various facilities that, you know, are gonna be in our town that we technically have to take care of. So I'd like to think that the county is going to be neighborly and cooperative, and they'll see that there's gonna be a win-win situation, because and I don't know the answer to this, but if they're able to use local credits, there may be, you know, for a local municipality, there may be some additional opportunity that they might be able to get in grants. I don't know that for a fact, but again, I'd like to think that let's not assume they're gonna say no, because we really have been fantastic hosts, you know. They're in our town and we've been fantastic hosts from the time that they've, you know, been in our town.
I think to your point though, you know, in a week we'll know if the community power passes. So probably should wait for a reach out for a week until
Yeah, that's
that
fine.
election takes place.
And then also there'll be, with the new board, there'll be a new energy,
Rep,
new
probably.
select board member
Yep.
dedicated to the energy committee, which will help
Yeah.
answer that question
Yeah, absolutely.
as well. Thank you for.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing it up.
yeah, fantastic. Thank you for the consideration.
All right, next on the list we have Robert Span with the Pickpocket Dam update. Come on up.
Should I be here?
Sure.
Just scrap the table.
I never sit next to a
Well,
lawyer.
it's kind of like a public comment, you know. It's actually on the agenda.
I think the idea is that everybody speaks to the board from the table,
Yeah.
but.
Nobody likes
I
it.
don't like the chair there. The chair kind of blocks. We need to,
I don't know if,
yeah.
Yeah.
did you get the PowerPoint? Was it on
We
the
have a
packet?
handout in here, yes.
Okay. I brought it in case we could, but I don't need to put it up on the screen. Basically, I wanted to report on the meeting that occurred in Exeter last week on the 27th. This was the meeting where the feasibility study was presented. The study had been posted on February 20 for public review, and then it was presented at length at the meeting last week. There were, I don't know how many people were there, but it was a good number, 60, 70, 80 people. I don't know how many Brentwoodians were there, not a large number, but some. A lot of people spoke, certainly the people who have concerns about the river and the dam removal spoke at length. A couple people from Exeter supported it. Becky was there to gave a very eloquent statement from the Conservation Commission, basically saying that this thing is being rushed through. There hasn't been input from the stakeholders, and asking them to kind of take another look at this whole issue. But I wanted to just update you on the impact on Brentwood. The feasibility study was 110 pages long, full of technical detail, with 200 pages of appendices. It makes for fascinating reading if anybody wants to. It's
Bedtime reading.
Yeah, it's on the website.
I appreciate
But basically, and I don't have my PowerPoint in front of me, but basically, I gave you some of the statistics. Okay, thank you. The river will be reduced, the river height will be reduced by 10 feet at the dam, assuming the dam is removed. The height of the river in Brentwood, upstream of the dam, will be reduced by 10 feet, and reductions in the river height will continue all the way up to Hague Road. 3.5 miles of river in Brentwood will be affected. And as the river height is diminished, the water that is surrounding the river will shrink. And there's one slide in the packet which shows the river height, and it's a little hard to see on this, but basically what they're saying is the wetlands that surround the river, the surface water, will be diminished by about 80% near the dam, and 70% by the time it gets up to Hague Road. So the surface water will be reduced from 96 acres to 26 acres. 70 acres of surface water in Brentwood will disappear. And I took in the packet, I also showed a map which was part of the feasibility study, which shows all the conservation land which surrounds and abuts the river in Brentwood. Almost all of the river butters in Brentwood are on conservation land. I might be one of the very few exceptions, and Eric Turer, who's my neighbor as well. But interestingly, just to my property's east is Brentwood conservation land. It's labeled on the map as Peabody Drive River Access, and it's a dedicated piece of land where anybody can go and approach the water. And the pictures that I have here are of people using the water, which is right at that area of the Brentwood conservation land on Peabody Drive. Pictures that I've taken of the fall paddle on the river. Picture of some Canada geese. And the sad thing is that water in those pictures will disappear. In fact, report, the feasibility study specifically happens to mention this piece of the river and says that the water width in this area will be reduced from 300 feet to 49 feet. That's what's going to happen. We're going to lose 250 feet of water surface. And that land, instead of being covered by water most of the year or all year, will become shrubland or scrubland, which will obviously have an incredible impact on the habitat and the wildlife that are there. Basically, the feasibility study does not recommend any particular alternative. It says that there are dam modification alternatives that are acceptable and feasible, and there's dam removal, which is also acceptable and feasible, and basically says the choice is the choice between recreation and existing habitat versus restoring the natural flow of the river and increasing the passage of river herring and other fish that spawn in the river upstream. Actually, as we pointed out in the meeting, there's no evidence that the Pickpocket Dam currently is a barrier to fish passage. The only evidence is that fish are getting past the location of the Great Dam, the former Great Dam in Exeter, but they're not getting all the way up river to the Pickpocket Dam. And the experts don't know why that's happening. Maybe they like it in Exeter, they don't feel the need to come to Brentwood. But the point is, and we tried to make this point, that this notion that the dam is a barrier to fish passage is not supported by any evidence. We believe that more study is needed of this issue and the environmental impact generally in Brentwood. As I point out, when the Great Dam was removed, there were at least 4 public hearings over the course of 4 or 5 years before the town of Exeter made the decision to remove that dam. We think we deserve the same consideration. The problem here is that this is a no-brainer for Exeter. They're trying to get federal money to remove a dam that they don't have any use for. And removal of the dam will not have any negative consequences to the town of Exeter. All the negative consequences fall in the town of Brentwood. So it's clear how they're going to go, but we believe that there should be more study, there should be more input, there should be more opportunity to really gauge the environmental impact, particularly in Brentwood, of the dam removal. The only other point is that the public comment period on the feasibility study remains open until March 20. And there's a website where you can submit comments. So I believe it's very important for people in Brentwood at all levels, whether it's the Select Board or the Conservation Commission or just individual citizens, to be heard on this.
Any board member questions or comments for Robert?
Yeah, I'd make a comment. I think we have, a role here, and you've, put forward a really good argument and case for Brentwood. And, at some point, I think we need to start thinking about whether, we invest in some sort of consultant who can, provide us, an expert basically who could provide us the ammunition that we would ultimately need to, address this on our side. Because I feel as though Exeter has their consultants that are making the recommendations that they are, but we need someone, who we retain as an expert to talk about these negative impacts because ultimately we would need that, I would think, to make a case. If we were to, make a, make a presentation, or, make it even, something beyond a presentation.
I think what I'm confused about is whether or not we really have any legal standing or legal ability to take any action here, given that the dam is owned by the town of Exeter and under their control. So, and I think who had given us some advice? Somebody from the Bureau.
The Dam Bureau.
The Dam Bureau had told us that, in their opinion, we did not have any
Correct.
standing or ability to influence this decision.
Correct, because the dam is owned by the town of Exeter as well as the water rights.
But to the extent that,
But did we ask, I'm sorry for interrupting, Paul, did we ask, cause I wanted us to ask if they're asked again, basically, is it possible we have standing based on our ownership of conservation and rec lands, in that regard? Do you know if we ever had that question come up with them?
I don't think that changes anything, but we can inquire further to see if, now that they have this study completed and it shows that there's irreparable harm in the town of Brentwood,
Right.
does that change anything?
That would be.
Or how that would
at least
impact.
asking the question that would help.
Right.
no, I think that's a reasonable question, because while we may not have standing as it pertains to the dam itself, I think we do have potential standing to the extent we're negatively and adversely impacted. It's almost as though it's a civil nuisance, in effect, that would be created upon our property. And that's something that I think does provide a level of standing. I think it's something, again, that should be looked into or researched by legal, but then ultimately we would, I think, need some expert consultant to address what those negative impacts are in order to have the burden of proof met.
I think when I didn't read the 110-page study with the 200-page attachments, but it seems like from your interpretation of this that this was like a 4 or 5 year long study that took place, wasn't it? Wasn't this a multi-year study that took place?
There's been a study going on for several years.
Right.
By this engineering firm, VHB.
Yep. Is that different from this?
No, that's this study.
Okay.
The part of the study, most of that study addressed the technical aspects of dam modification or dam removal.
Okay.
Sediment, engineering, things like that.
Yep.
The actual study that involved impact, upstream impact, started after they voted to go for the federal grant. After they made, the town kind of committed to doing this, and was completed in 2 months, 3 months. So the impacts have been studied for, certainly less than 6 months.
Okay.
And studied by a firm, which is a very good firm, but
You could say.
they know the direction they want to go in.
Right.
Sure,
Biased.
sure. No, I
And
understand
when
that.
you read the study, it's so clear, because they'll present the facts, and then they'll say, well, yes, there'll be a loss of habitat, but the wildlife will adapt. They make these.
Which is technically true, but not necessarily what we want to hear.
Yeah, but
Right.
if you were a developer trying to do this, and you came up with a study that said we're going to destroy 80 acres of wetlands, but it's no big deal,
Right.
the wildlife will
Wouldn't
adapt.
go over very big.
Everybody would be, have their hands in the air. So the other thing on, if I can just add on the standing issue, I wouldn't rely on somebody from the Dam Bureau.
Sure.
Because their job is removal of dams. And there is a process down the line, to get a permit for removal of dams through the Department of Environmental Services. And they actually, part of that process is to give notice to abutters and get input from abutters. So I think there is standing in that sense.
Okay.
Here, of course, they've come up with a study and they've asked for public comment, so, I mean, they've invited comment.
Great.
So,
Okay, okay. So it sounds like, Paul, what you're suggesting is that we specifically have a discussion with town council about, is there any legal angle for us to get involved here as a town? And I think we need to have a good understanding of that before we decided to use any of our legal funds or other taxpayer money to move forward. So is anyone on the board opposed to Karen having a conversation with legal about whether there's any angle that we have legal standing here? No. Okay. So it sounds like that'll be the next step, and depending how they guide us, we can decide and bring it back to the board.
If I could,
Yeah.
I think, if I could ask that Becky Dunn be given an opportunity to speak. I think she just wanted to address
Sure.
and follow
Yeah,
up
if
on
you'd
the
like to
issue.
come up, sure.
Yeah, I had asked Karen, I mentioned to Karen in an email today, I might want to say some
Okay.
things after Robert's
Sure.
presentation. so-
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Since he mentioned me, I thought maybe I'd come up.
He did, he gave you a shout out.
It was a meeting attended by about 70 people. I don't think the representation from Brentwood was strong enough, but there wasn't that much
It's also
notice.
school
and the
vacation
report-
week.
School vacation week, the report had just come out, and it was 350 pages. So response, there were some questions from the group in the room. One, no notice officially as abutters along the river about this meeting or the report. If they looked on the Exeter Town website, they would find it, but there was no notice to abutters. There was a question about if there was any damage, to any property along the river on the Brentwood side. It was the owner's responsibility. They would take no responsibility, no legal responsibility for damage to the riverbanks in Brentwood. It was up to the abutters if their property were damaged. It was all the abutters' responsibility. In the grant proposal, there is a very small amount for remediation from the dam upwards for, 3.5 miles? It's just involving seeding. There's no money in there for dam or bank renewal. I don't know what they call that, remediation. This grant is given annually, so there's an opportunity every year to apply for this. So the urgency to pass before there was adequate conversation, discussion, and notice to abutters to Brentwood, where all the damage is going to occur, or all the changes are going to occur, short changes the process. I don't know, they didn't mention when the notice, when the vote or the notification, whether the grant was approved or not, is going to be received. I think at one time they said maybe April, May.
I think
but
it was
we
this
don't know.
spring.
Yeah,
I
spring.
remember.
But we don't know that definitely. And Robert's right that there is a process that after a grant, they still have to prove whether to accept the grant. And I don't know what that process is, but there should be public hearings. But I think we're in a position, and legal counsel should be asked, if all the damage and impact is upstream and we were not involved in that process, I think there is probably, he should consider that as part of the legal standing. I'm just concerned about that we were not
That's the question we'll ask.
involved. So I hope that's taken into consideration. Now, Conservation meets on the 13th. We're going to discuss this, but you had said at a previous meeting that the town wasn't going to take a position on this.
Yeah, we haven't up to this point
Yes.
unless we find out that we have legal standing and then decide, and our board decides that that's the direction that we want to go and use town funds for that.
Okay, so is there going to be any comment from the select board to Exeter by the deadline for comments? I know we
In terms of
asked,
speaking as a board or as a town?
as a town, do we want to ask Exeter to, or do we want to put together a list of abutters and have the opportunity to notify them about steps that are going forward with this? We had no master list of everyone's property who's affected upstream. Would it be wise for us to put that together and make it available? I think Conservation might ask for that. We do not have to send certified letters, but collect emails and notifications so that we can notify everyone upstream. What, if this is moving forward, how is it going to impact them? So I would like to move forward with that at least. But Conservation will probably take a position, and we meet on March 13,
day after election, and then the deadline is 1 week. I don't think, what day of the week is the 20th? Is that
It's a Wednesday.
it's a Wednesday. So you will meet the 19th?
Yes.
So is there anything we can get to them on the 20th that might mention legal counsel or notification to abutters or concerned about the impact on Brentwood upstream? If you would consider that, I don't know how soon legal counsel can give us any kind of review. That's a
Yeah.
short window.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that timeline will work out. And that's just, I mean, that's just to comment on the feasibility study
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, there's a whole nother process for permitting. So if we do decide to take some legal action, you know, that timeline will play out.
Can I go to the planning board and ask for the names of all the property owners upstream? So we can start to put together a list?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I think if conservation wants to take that on as a project,
Well, we
that's
could probably go to Jillian to ask for that information.
Sure.
But you can do it right on the town's website. If you go to Access GIS, you can put in one property and then you can say within 200 feet, it'll give you and print all the labels.
Well, we have no administrative support, so I would like to ask for a little help from the planning board.
Sure.
Okay.
You can ask.
And then I'll keep in touch with Robert, if he's still here. Yes. About this, and
Okay.
maybe have him do presentation.
Okay, thanks for keeping us informed.
Okay, thank you.
All right. That brings us to the end of our discussion action items. We'll move on to regular business. We'll start with Karen. Do you have any business for us?
I do. This is an intent to cut for the logging at the BRC for the Safer Road.
Okay, gotcha. And looks
Wait.
like all 5 of us need to sign this.
Yes.
Where's the timber gonna go? Are they buying it? Are they-
I believe so, and we won't issue a tax. So Kip just wanted it because you can see it from the street side, so he wanted the paper trail just to make sure. But he's expecting 2,000 board feet of pine and then 300 tons of chip is what he's expecting to get from the cut.
Okay. Is anyone interested in making a motion to sign the notice of intent to cut?
Moved.
Anyone want a second? Roll call vote. Andy?
Aye.
John?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Russ? Paul? And I'm an aye. So we'll go ahead and sign this here. All right, what do you got for us next?
This is a land use change tax warrant and 5 bills for the last 5 parcels to come out of current use at 3 Ponds.
This is the final 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Moved.
Second.
And we have to sign
So there's
each
6
one?
signatures. Yep.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second to sign these. You said there's 5 properties?
yes.
For these 5 properties for land use change tax collector's warrant. We'll take a vote. Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Russ? Paul? And I'm an aye, so we'll go through and sign these. And the rows are labeled with our names, so just make sure you sign on yours. And this is the very end of the properties for them?
Yes.
So this is it. Okay. Follow the red stickies.
Rick Murphy and a team of department heads have been working on updating the town's hazard mitigation plan. We were working on it in 2021, and then it took up until last week for FEMA to approve it.
Wow.
So I have the certificate of adoption here. It requires 2 signatures for us to be able to officially adopt those plan changes there.
And is this something that we previously had in place and we were just updating it?
It was, yes.
Were there any significant
was-
changes made?
There was no material changes made in this update here.
So it's just kind of a formality delay for FEMA to
It
sign it?
is, and because it was done in 21 but not being adopted now, some of the staff contexts are different. And that's just, we have to go with that because that's how FEMA had accepted it.
Okay. Do we need to make any other changes to it?
Nope.
No. Okay. questions or comments
It just
about
goes with everything, packet.
the New Hampshire Hazard Mitigation Plan update for 2024?
Motion.
Roll call vote, Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Paul? And I'm an aye, so looks like we will all sign this here.
And then just you is on the second page.
Okay. It's March 5th. Go. Okay. All right, anything else you have for us?
The Painters Trade School, which is located on Commercial Drive, they receive a 95% exemption for education. And they would like to, Jim has reviewed all of their materials and he would recommend that continue for one more calendar year.
Okay, that's just a standard education exemption,
Yes,
and we re-up that once a year?
yes.
Yearly, okay. Questions about that from the board?
Sorry, which school is it?
It's the Painters School at 34 Commercial Drive.
Painters?
Painters Union.
Yeah, it's like a big
It's,
warehouse.
Teamsters local, they have a school on Commercial Drive. It's been there forever.
Long time, I think.
A school to teach commercial painting.
Yes.
Okay.
Moved. I think there's only on the first page. It's just us.
Yeah, I just had to sign the back page. We'll let him finish that.
Second?
I'm just waiting for Paul to
Painters
finish
Union.
signing.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yes.
All right, so we have a motion and a second for the painters. All right, roll call vote. Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Paul? And I'm an aye, so we'll sign that. Is that?
That doesn't need a signature.
It doesn't need a
just
signature.
motion.
Okay, just a motion.
I have an appointment slip for Robin Wrighton for Inspector of Election through August of '24.
Moved.
And this is just for additional hands on deck for the next
Just
election?
for town meeting,
Okay.
yep.
Okay. I have a motion on the table.
Second.
Roll call vote. Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Russ?
Abstain.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so we'll go ahead and sign this. And then these all get reappointed August, you
Yes.
said? Okay. Okay, anything else you have for us? I just have two things that came across in the mail. We have two resignations that I would like the board to accept. One is from Jared Wright Ward, who will be resigning from the police department as of March 16th to pursue a new position in a different town. The other is Eli Corson, who will be resigning from the fire department. They both wrote very nice and complimentary and positive letters upon their departure, and I would be looking for a board vote to accept these two resignations.
Moved.
Reluctantly.
Second.
Reluctantly, yeah, unhappy second. And we'll take a roll call vote. Andy?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Russ?
Aye.
Paul? And I'm an aye, so we will accept these. Wish them both well in their future endeavors.
Indeed.
And I think that
was
was
our problem,
all.
some found in need.
Right. And now we'll go around and we will start with Andy for committee updates or other board business.
Got nothing.
Nothing. John?
Nothing, thanks.
How did the business breakfast go?
It went well. We had a really, really great roundtable discussion about what it's like to do business in Brentwood, and got some good ideas that came out of it. So
Great.
looking forward to the next one.
Wonderful. Russ?
One item of importance is related to the Energy and Efficiency Committee. And thanks to Tom Palmer for spearheading this. It's an energy audit that I know we've heard about before, free of charge, no cost to the town. And so Tom has led that effort, and Karen can help me out with exactly what maybe the specific details are, or Tom can fill us in, but the main idea was to give Eversource the go-ahead to do the audit.
For town buildings, or?
I believe it's the library and the rec center and the school.
Well, Tom, yeah, it's okay if Tom
Sure,
comes up? Okay.
sure.
Thanks, Tom.
Come on up. Let's bring the microphone
So,
with him.
Trying to keep as much, a little work as possible to your office, Karen, because of what's been going on at town meeting and all that stuff. So we were able to get Eversource to do basically a free infrared audit, which is a thermal audit of all the buildings in town, including the school. And then we're gonna come back after town meeting and start with another consultant to come in and do a lighting audit of all the buildings. So right now the school's done, as of yesterday, the library and the rec center were supposed to be done yesterday, which I think they were. And we just need to, for the thermal side, we need to have somebody sign the agreement that says, yes, you can do this audit for $0.
$0 sounds good.
Yeah. So with the plan, then we also, that'll include, so we can't do the thermal on the other 4 buildings, which is really 3 buildings, until December, because of scheduling and lack of cold weather. We have to, just infrared camera.
And those are the audits where they look for like where your building is leaking heat, and you might be able to put insulation and things like that. Okay.
Right, so the lighting audit is a different firm
Yep.
coming in, and they can do that anytime, so they can come, I'm gonna wait till after town meeting and give them a call.
Okay.
Then they'll schedule their own time with the department heads.
Great. Do you need anything from us right now at this point?
Well, we need Karen to sign off on the library and the rec center
Okay.
applications that you have. And then when the other, I think they're gonna count this building as one building with the police station, so there's either gonna be 3 or 4 more coming, but not right away.
Okay.
It's gonna take a little, we don't really need them until, I'd like to get them done and signed if we can. So I'll go back to the auditor, see how things went at the last, we should get the reports soon. The Energy Committee will review, and then we'll touch base with whoever our select board person is and talk about coming in here, maybe making a presentation.
Great.
Having Eversource make a presentation. We haven't got that far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, sounds
Okay.
good.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is it okay, Karen?
Karen, do
Yep.
you need anything from us, or you can just sign as part of your standard responsibilities?
I can just sign as
Yep.
long as you guys are comfortable.
I don't think anybody on the board is gonna disagree with a free energy audit.
Thanks again.
Right?
Thanks again, Tom. And-
Thank you.
And to the committee, thanks. That's it.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, so we didn't have a planning board, but my concern is the Wilder property. And I got a complaint personally, someone communicated with me who's one of the abutting properties about activity and additional noise. And when I drove by there, it seemed to me as though there was, and again, I'm not there as an investigator, I'm driving by, and it looked to me as though there was work that may have been ongoing there and some disturbances. So it gives me cause for concern. I know there's a suit that was filed. I know there's a hearing that's scheduled in, or there's a petition that appealed the decision and the cease and desist. There's a hearing on that in May. But I am concerned that in the interim, if they're doing things that would be violative, I think we need to move on that. So I don't know if that's been looked into.
Well, this is the first I'm hearing of it, but
Yeah.
because it is active litigation, I think if the board wants to discuss it, I think that you should do that in non-public.
Makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I'm not discussing the litigation, just, and I don't need to discuss the litigation, just the fact that there may be ongoing.
There appears to be ongoing work going on there.
Yeah, and I don't know if that is something that, we can somehow look into, or maybe have Kip, look into. But it gives me cause for concern. And
We discussed the cease and desist in public and had that issued, because there is now a lawsuit, how does that impact the cease and desist that we had previously issued?
That still stands, and they had a certain time frame in order to remove
Yep.
the documents to cure the remedy. But I don't think that they have done anything since the lawsuit was filed.
Okay, so we can follow up with that in a non-public discussion in terms of if we want to take action. Okay, sounds good. Maybe we'll do that after the new board gets seated. Okay. Other,
I would say whoever your complainant is should utilize their camera phone and
sure.
document evidence.
Yep.
He sent me a picture on my camera phone, from his camera phone to my phone, and I think he was talking about getting a decibel meter to measure that as well, so, you know, the private citizens obviously are great resources, but I mean, I think ultimately we may want to look
Sure.
into it as well.
And if any private citizens have input or anything, they can call the town offices here and let us know.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Anything else that you have for us? Okay. Only thing that I have is just a reminder that tomorrow night is the school meeting to vote on the school warrants. So everybody please go and make your voice heard and throw your vote in for the school operating budget and warrants. And that is tomorrow at, I believe, 6 o'clock? 6 o'clock. So be there, and that is all that I have. Any other board business?
Letty, will the school televise that?
The school board usually does all of their meetings on the night.
It's usually is televised. Yeah. But if you want to vote, you got to be there in person. Okay. Any other board business? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Moved. Second.
And we'll take a roll call. Andy?
Aye.
John? Russ?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, so we'll adjourn at 7:48. This really is so cute.
I think she did a really nice